Um, honestly, Eric is funny because like, so guys, if you don't know, we were recording, we were starting to record on the an issue core, but I
Take
feel
two.
that's sorry.
Take two.
Yeah, take two of this. But I think it's really common. That tells you that goalkeeper coaches are not only goalkeeper coaches. We need to learn how to to use technology, and all these things are crucial. Actually, we're problem solvers for sure. That's what we
Absolutely. Yep. And we
yeah.
solved one. We did well.
Totally. All
Good to
right,
see you, man.
so we have Eric here again, part two. In the part one, I was complimenting Eric because of his haircut, his outfits, his brand, and everything. Nothing. I'm really excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
Eric is somebody who has added a lot to a goalkeeper community, and personally, I think his story hasn't really been shared. So probably me not doing my best research and stuff like that, but I do believe people should know a little bit more about Eric, of the things that he does, and the knowledge that this guy has. Again, he's
Wow.
going to explain a little bit more about all United Goalkeeper Alliance, everything about his journey, but definitely he has been in multiple calls, and he probably has heard a lot of coaches all over the world. And again, I'm excited to the things that we will be able to discuss during this call.
Yeah, thank you, man. I do appreciate that introduction greatly, Juan. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. We always have great conversations.
Hmm.
So I'm really looking forward to just seeing where this goes. And yeah, I know we both have I know we're both aligned in many different ways. So I
Yeah,
think we're gonna hear a lot of agreements in this call, but I'm looking
definitely.
forward to it.
Awesome. Why don't we start with just telling us a little bit about yourself? I
Yeah.
mean, I think as goalkeeper coaches and just as coaches in general, sometimes people forget about we being as humans as well.
Yeah.
And you have a beautiful story that also, if you share a little bit about that, I think it'll be great. But just go ahead, tell us a little bit about your background. How did everything started? Where are you right now as well?
Absolutely. Well, Erik Eisenhut. I'm here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I've been here for about 10 years. Before that, I was in Massachusetts, which is where I kind of grew up, went to high school, went to college. My professional career in the mutual fund industry, to be honest. Graduated college in 95, went to Brandeis University. I should have said that. And from there, went right into mutual fund accounting. Isn't that where every goalkeeper coach starts off, is in the mutual fund accounting?
I wish, I
So,
wish.
yeah.
I wish we get into the money part, but I think we go into the money part later in life.
Well, don't get me wrong. I was there for 18 years in that industry, and there were a lot of pros in the pro con relationship, but there were a lot of cons too, to be honest with you. And as at a point in my life where literally went through probably 4 or 5 life changing events in like a 5 year plan in a 5 year window, and it just changed everything. I kind of left corporate finance and went right into to coaching as my profession, and got right into the collegiate game. I was at Point Park University here in Pittsburgh, followed by Duquesne University, and then Robert Morris. About 10 years in the game there, and then just kind of parlayed that into starting to learn and meet people. And that's one thing when I was in corporate finance I was really good at, was just networking and helping people stay connected through relationship management. And I feel that there are a lot of people in the goalkeeping world that are fighting their individual battles. And I truly believe that if we can kind of unify and bring it to let's all move forward together, goalkeeper culture is gonna become bigger and better for everyone. But it's gonna benefit everyone. I think that's the part I think we need to continue to beat the drum about, is that by increasing the goalkeeping culture, by increasing the goalkeeping knowledge, everyone gets better. And I don't think anyone can honestly say like our club kicks butt with a goalkeeping culture. And if you can, God bless you. I mean that. Like,
Yeah,
I just don't think the numbers add up where you're going to get a passing grade on that one.
yeah,
So can we influence it? Can we help people meet people and work together to push that agenda to push the goalkeeping culture out there? It's what we're trying to do. We're trying to use education as the reason. Can we
mhm,
help kids? Can we help coaches? Can we help clubs, parents? Can we educate them on what's needed to help them with their battle with the goalkeeping culture within their family, within their club, within their team?
yeah. And I would like to go a little bit deeper on how
Oh,
United Goalkeeper Alliance started. But before
yeah.
we go there, I think you mentioned something really crucial. And again, part of me doing this podcast is just to learn a lot, and not only me learning, but also people being able to take advantage of this opportunity, and not only in goalkeeping or just, well, not only goalkeeper basically, but you
Hmm.
mentioned something about networking, and I'm a big believer about things like that. A lot of
Hmm.
opportunities came down because who you know.
Hmm.
You mentioned you were really good at that, and I 100% agree. You're really good at that. If you weren't good at this, you
Thank
wouldn't have
you.
stuff like that.
Well, the beauty of that is once you get to know people, you know, like I could I believe in a conversation with someone else, Juan, I believe I could represent your intentions. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, oh, you should connect with Juan. I think Juan could help you. Oh, cool. And all of a sudden, you two are off doing something new. But I like being able to help people I like people to succeed as a result of my tutelage or helping with a connection. And
Hmm.
I think the goalkeeping world can benefit from it.
Yeah. With that being said, like, what
Yeah.
will be some advices for you to whoever is listening to this goalkeeper or just goalkeeper coach, in a
Yeah.
sense, like them open up themselves to actually network better, get to be more intentional whenever you meet people, and all those small gestures or things that can create a good name to yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people out there that want to help, that want to like be a mentor, do want to get involved, that want to also learn, that want to get to that next level, but they don't know where to go. And
Hmm.
truthfully, we don't know where to go. And one of the things we've done is we have a WhatsApp chat. And I know it sounds kind of odd, like, oh, big deal, a WhatsApp chat. But a WhatsApp chat with 180 goalkeeper coaches globally, you know this. It's constant goalkeeping nerd talk,
Yeah.
right? Like we talk about everything from lesson plans, curriculums. We talk a little bit of smack based on like who you're loyal to in the game, and obviously with the World Cup coming up, that thing will be on fire. But we also talk about like here's some recruiting opportunities. You know, I'm a college coach or I'm representing a college coach who's in that chat. Like I could use a video for a 2027 goalkeeper. I represent a club who has a 2027 goalkeeper. Here's a video. Like we see that networking all the time, but without that connection, that overall WhatsApp chat group of us, that connection is never made. And
Hmm.
I think that we learn from each other too. I think that's the other thing that you were talking about earlier. Just be humble and be able to ask for help because people want to help. That's the other thing too. People want to get involved. People want to be able to give advice because there's no easy path when it comes to developing in the goalkeeping world. There's not. Otherwise, we wouldn't. It'd be A plus, right? And we know it's not.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think it's also curious, and this just came out of curiosity. You been in finance before, right?
Yeah.
On the mutual funds and stuff like that. Is there
Yeah.
any lessons that you learned from working on this cooperative that you believe you have bring with you to the goalkeeper, to the coaching aspect, life in general?
Yeah. Interesting question. I never really thought of it that way, to be truthful. Interesting question, Juan. Yeah, so what I learned the most from my financial services experience was, and here is their sales. I worked for two companies, State Street Corporation, that was a public. You can go buy them. They're on the stock exchange, and then the other was a smaller company called Brown Brothers Harriman. They're a private group. They're run by a board of directors, and the difference between the two is drastic, but they
Hmm.
did the same exact thing. You know what I mean? They both produced at the end result. You know what I mean? They both did mutual fund accounting and they produced
Yeah.
a price for a mutual fund the other night. They both did the exact same thing. But the client service that was demanded out of Brown Brothers Harriman compared to the other was just enormous. And they
Yeah.
created relationships, and through relationships there's a trust, and through trust, you're talking about some big money, right? I mean, so you don't just want you need to develop that relationship. And I think when anyone wants to get to their next level, I use that phrase a bit. Um, I think people want to trust. I think people, when you have trust, it's easier to get out of your comfort zone. When you're out of your comfort zone, it's easier to learn. It's easier to develop. Um, but you have to do those types of things. I think client service plays a huge role in just being quick to get back to people, being basic things too, to be truthful. And I think that's something
Yeah.
that sometimes can be lacking in the soccer world from a club perspective. And it's to no fault of anyone. It's just there's not enough people and there's a lot to do. There's a lot
That's
to do.
yeah. That's you cannot go wrong with those lessons. I feel like like being
Yeah.
humble, like you mentioned at the beginning, creating that relationship. And it's beautiful because even in the corporative life, like those
Yeah.
things you need to bring as a coach. For example, with your goalkeeper union, with the own people that you coach as a leader, you need to be vulnerable. You need to create that trust. You need to create that relationship. Just building that trust of like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's your family? How's the things? Those things add so much on
100% agree.
goalkeeper alliance. Definitely.
Yep. Here's another thing, Juan. The big difference between the two industries
Hmm.
in mutual fund accounting, there's not a lot of ego. You
Yeah.
know? Coaching, there's a lot of ego. So it's
Oh,
hard sometimes to like. That's probably so by having good client service skills, by being able to kind of be a chameleon with, and that's just being able to connect. And I think by having that ability to connect, having the ability to understand what people's incentives are, helps you help other people. And I think
mhm.
if we can do that in the goalkeeping world, I think everyone's going to benefit from it because we have so much to develop. I truly believe that, and we can do it as a group. We can help people get to their next level.
Yeah,
Something as simple as a college coach. You know what I mean? You can network in there and figure out your next step. It's
yeah.
that's just one example.
And I love that you mentioned the word helping because if anybody knows about Eric, this guy is about helping everybody. And I think he's going to share why. But that's one of the reasons why United Goalkeeper Alliance, if I'm not mistaken. So, why don't you share us how all this project started, how that brand started from you?
Yeah, yeah. This started as a COVID hobby, and we literally there's when I say we maybe 10 coaches. We're just talking about how can we keep kids actively engaged, even though we can't get on the pitch. So we're like, let's get on a Zoom call. Let's just talk. Let's talk about crossing. Right? We get on the call. Maybe there's 15 of us. What type of clips do you want to bring up? Oh, let's bring on cutbacks. All right, let's work on cutbacks. Let's talk about cutbacks. And we just start talking about it. And one of the coaches on that call was Tony Elliott out of England, and he has been truthfully one of my biggest mentors. Like Tony, he introduced me to there's more to it than just technical and tactical. He told me about the psychological balance. He introduced me to the physical capabilities in addition to most importantly the leadership skills. So a lot of those things are expected of GKs, but we don't teach them that. So we I think need to teach them that. I think we can do a better job of teaching goalkeepers that. But then it's like who does it? So I think we can be a supplemental resource in that capacity. So what started out as 10 coaches, 20 goalkeepers, current day is around 180 coaches, around 1,000 goalkeepers, and that's worldwide. And that's the beauty of this thing. Like we were talking about differences and different styles and hearing different, the same goals trying to be met in regards to a technical or a tactical issue on the field, but different minds want to go about it different ways. And I think that's the cool thing is getting all these goalkeepers together and kind of talking and learning about it through in moments. We talk about the different moments of the game. We've actually broken down. I had a question for you. So we have removed. You talk about the 4 moments of the game,
Uh-huh.
and it's your 2 transitional moments, and then you're in possession and you're out of possession. We've removed free kicks from out of possession and made it its own entity.
Hmm.
What do you
The
think of
set
that?
pieces. No, it's true. That's another game. That's another game moment. The set pieces themselves. The
I,
way, like, at some point, I'm not sure who was sharing this, but it has a lot of saying. Set pieces are the only moments when you actually have control of what's happening in the situation. So if your
yeah,
team is able to control the thing, I think has a big leverage on whatever moment of the game you have. So
yeah,
I agree. That's another fifth moment of the game. I think you're
yeah.
right on
And to our point with that, though, who's ultimately responsible for that? The goalkeeper, right? Like
that.
they're the ones that are in control. Everyone kind of knows that. Do they ever train that as a team? I mean that as like the U12, the U14, the U16 level. I don't know if they do, if they don't, but I know goalkeepers aren't doing. They have a hard time with it. At least the people that
Yeah.
I speak to. But it's like one of those things. Well, do you work on it? Like, do you train that?
Mhm.
And I think that's something that, from a team perspective, I'd love to see more goalkeeper coaches involved in team training. We kind of had a brief conversation about this earlier.
Yeah.
Coaching from inside the goal. I think it just can help with Sugar. It can help with the whole back line. It can help with the goalkeeper staying connected with them. You can teach as a unit as opposed to down the other end of the field, talking to your one goalkeeper who's playing on the field, that is. That's something I'd like to see more of too.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper
And
coaches involved.
I feel like I really agree on that comment. I think as well, like a lot of people have been fixated on the idea of like, oh, goalkeeper training.
Yeah.
And why we're not having goalkeeper training? But they forgot that even you playing 5v5, that's goalkeeper training. And in reality, again, back to everybody passionate about the game realistic moments. That's probably the most realistic things that you'll get whenever like you're facing training, besides the 11v11. But those are also moments for you to grow as a keeper and for you
Yeah.
to coach as a goalkeeper coach. Remember, it's not about you being able to gel to a player and actually kick the balls, but being able to coach during the play. I think it will be perfect in a perfect environment where you're able to stop the whole practice to coach the goalkeepers like they do
Right.
whenever they coach the winger or the midfield. But I think we're not yet in that level of stopping the whole practice just to make a comment for the goalkeeper.
Well, we're one of the one people who can influence everybody just through one bad decision. And if we're not communicating, like
Mhm.
there's a lot on what we say. And if we're not coaching that in the moment in training sessions, then there's a lost opportunity there there's a lost opportunity there from a communication perspective. You're tighter as a unit. You're going to be, as a result of being tighter as a unit, you're going to have less opportunities. Goalkeeper has to make less saves. Goals against average is going to go down. Your wins are going to go up. It's a win-win-win opportunity.
Yeah.
Just need to get that influence in there a little bit more. And I think it's not no one who doesn't benefit from that. Truthfully, you know what I mean? Like who hurts or who loses on a goalkeeper coach getting more involved in a team training environment?
Yeah. 100%. That's right. I think, and part of it, Eric, I feel, I mean, goalkeeper has changed in a sense of like now
Yeah.
goalkeeper coaches are starting to be a little bit more
Bingo.
involved.
Yeah.
Before, there wasn't goalkeeper coaches. You'll find big universities without a goalkeeper coach who doesn't care about goalkeeping. So I think probably in the future we'll see more of that. Hopefully now,
Yeah.
yeah. So we'll see about that. I would love to jump on the discussion of how to develop a goalkeeper and all those stuff. But before we jump on that,
Yeah.
um, I just wanted to deep a little bit more on how United Goalkeeper Alliance works in a
Yeah.
sense like your regular meetings and all those stuff, how you coaches get the opportunity to coach with other people. So for goalkeeper coaches that are listening, how can they get involved? And even for like goalkeepers that are listening, how can they take advantage of all this? I would love you to share a little bit more because I think it's a really pretty project that you have going on.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. Juan. I appreciate the opportunity there. So quickly from a goalkeeper perspective, you will have the opportunity we do essentially 3 educational sessions a month. Our curriculum for 2026 revolves around the 5 moments of the game that Juan and I were just talking about. Your transitional moments, your in possession, your out of possession, and then free kicks. Within those moments of the game, we focus on the 5 elements of development. So the 5 elements of development being your technical and your tactical, your social/leadership, your physical capabilities, in addition to your psychological balance. So we'll speak to the impact of those elements of development, but we'll develop them within those moments of the game. How do we do that? We do that through Zoom calls. We do 3 of them a month. So there's 33 a year. We take July off. Just everyone needs a break. And the coaches basically run the session. I'm not on any of these. Let me rephrase that. I'm in the background. The coach runs the session. I'm not all of them. Let me rephrase that. But I'm not talking at all. The coaches do everything. It's their platform. And Juan, you've done a couple of them. I get out of the way, and I want coaches to coach. I want you to do what you're best at. And if you can use video, if you can, talk to kids about and facilitate discussion around an in-game moment and talk about a specific lesson within that moment of the game, like that's how kids are going to learn, in my opinion. And if they can feel it and if they can experience it before they see it in a game, awesome. And hopefully it maybe helps them with getting conflicting advice or getting no advice. Like some of these kids probably don't get coached when they're at training, like during training and in games, like a scrimmage is going on, and something bad happens in the back, and who jumps in and talks to the goalkeeper in the back line about that? I firmly believe a goalkeeper coach should be there, but we're the ones that I think that could be that supplemental resource, like, in that capacity. You also have access to every single one we've ever done. So we've been recording since January of 2021. So for over 5 years, we have around we're approaching 300 hours of content for members. And you have search engines where you can go and find it by specific moment within the game or specific goalkeeping topic, from college recruiting to one-on-ones to psychological balance to the 5 elements development. And it's all there. It's touch your finger. It's great because everyone, what I joke with parents. I'm like, so what do your kids do when they're in the car or you're going on a plane, right? Like, where I'm going with this. They're like this, like, sugar, man, get on and watch a video. Like, put your headset on and nerd out, right? For clubs, it's kind of everything I just described, but it includes every single goalkeeper within your club. It includes every goalkeeper coach within your club. And we help with literally any questions that you have, from curriculum support to lesson plan support, to how to get goalkeeper coaches involved, to how to create just even goalkeepers getting like the right kind of just education that they need. You know what I mean? And just starting. And training's not a bad thing because you got to start, right? You got to start somewhere. But can we add tactical understanding to it? Can that take place in the team environment? Anywho, those are the things that we look to supplement because that doesn't happen. We believe we can educate and help kids. With clubs, I just mentioned everyone's included. That's the great there. We also have a lot designed for parents. Just came out with another podcast, which we're kind of excited about. It's really about just in moments. Like the podcast, is something different. I'll talk about that in a moment, but that's something I definitely want to talk about because the people involved in that are awesome people. Then the other, the other membership was goalkeeper coaches, and goalkeeper coaching memberships. As I mentioned, the WhatsApp chat, immediate connection to over 180 coaches worldwide, all in the goalkeeper specific coaches, and anything you need from a support perspective, any question that you'd want answered. You're recruiting a particular graduation age. You have a kid in your academy that you want to promote. You're looking for help in a specific area of the country because you have a goalkeeper moving in that area. We have the connections help. Like, that's the beauty of what we're trying to do, is that the connections will help you. You can't want to not have connections. And if you do and you're isolated, you have your own thing going and it's working for you, awesome. No, we're not to say that doesn't work, but I do believe for the majority, the people are going to need help from a goalkeeping community. Here's an interesting one. Think of it this way: from a goalkeeper coach's perspective, they need to have around 4 or 5 income streams just to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if they're working at a club, selling gloves, small groups, private one-on-ones. Hopefully, if they're at a college, God bless, hopefully they're getting paid. I mean that. The higher the level, sometimes those are volunteer assistants, and it's assumed that's what's going to happen. And now you're working 40 hours a week for free during the season. And I went through that. I get it. And then but you also then have to go earn money. So now you're working all night at a club. It's a lot. It's a lot to succeed at the collegiate level from a coaching perspective, or just as a goalkeeper coach, in general. So can we help each other? Like, can we help? The more experienced coaches are looking for help with camps, clinics, educational formats that they might be developing. And then the newer coaches, they need help with their curriculum support, their lesson support, ideas on camps, ideas on clinics. How do you get things running from a business perspective? And they just help each other. And it's really cool seeing the environment, to be honest with you. So from a coaching perspective, I feel that the networking alone, to our point earlier, Juan, really goes a long way and really can help you with wherever you want to get to, or wherever you want to get to from a coaching perspective.
Yeah. 100. I mean, you mentioned a lot of great points, honestly. I want to talk specifically on 2, and then I have a follow-up question that I would like to. But regarding like the context aspect, like personally, part of these videos and part of a lot of episodes that I have thank you to United Goalkeeper Alliance in a sense of me telling in the group like, hey guys, I'm planning on doing this, like who's wanting to jump in a call and stuff like that. So I have been able to connect with people through that. So I think again, even thank you for doing that.
Right on. I appreciate that.
And again, those are moments that even like I don't know, you can believe on X or Y or Y or whatever. I'm able to have a conversation with you, hearing your thoughts and stuff like that. So, for example, a couple of minutes ago, I just got off with a call with Jeff, and we are talking about things. I was like, you know what, Jeff, that's so smart. I'm stealing that. So even if I wouldn't have been in that group or whatever, I would have never known about Jeff at some point. So,
Right.
and same with me coming to Miami. Like
Hmm.
everything started from back in Oklahoma with ODP, with
That's right.
Adam. Yeah. So and Adam was the one that connected me with Eric and stuff like that. And if Adam wouldn't have been in my life, I would have never gone to Southern Miss. If I would have never gone to Southern Miss, I would have the opportunity, the beautiful opportunity that I have nowadays. So again, contacts and knowing people, I think is
Mhm.
incredible. So
Yeah, I do too. I God bless you, man. I love how you're moving. You're doing great too. Good job with everything you're doing, man.
and then on the perspective of the player,
Hmm.
that's something I wish I knew early in my career, in my life, in everything. And I
Yeah.
think every episode and every video that I'm talking and doing nowadays emphasize the importance of learning the tactics and all of this from a different point of view, not from just I'm just gonna go and practice, but also understanding the game. I
Yeah.
don't get tired of saying that the older that I got, the better I got, and not because I was more physical able, because I wasn't. The younger I'm, the quickest. All of this, but
Yeah.
more because now I understand where to position. Only because I see the triggers, I see movement of the ball. I understand the game concept. I understand all the things, so I don't really need to dive. I'm just stepping there, and I'm able to avoid the person to take the shot, or just taking a save, catching a save, because I know where the ball is going. So as a player, I think it's really important for you to dwell on these things.
Yeah.
Uh, my follow-up question with you,
Mhm.
Eric, is it occurs, and it also occurs to me in a sense of my goalkeeping philosophy. So if I'm here listening to this person in Spain,
Yeah.
and now I'm listening to this person in United States, and now I'm listening to this person in Germany, kind of the same scenario. If every
Yeah.
month or every week there is a different goalkeeper coach that says, "Oh, you need to scoop." No, why are we scooping? You need to spin. Why are we spinning? You need to dive. Why are we diving? We need to do counts. How can you find that balance of like, okay, I'm listening, I'm being open minded about listening to this stuff, but I know what works for me and what doesn't work for me.
Yeah. I I tell kids, I'm like, everyone's going to be different. And I'm not gonna argue with you about the technique that you prefer, but there are some essentials. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
there are some things we're always gonna like agree on and in that environment. But from a tactical perspective, my philosophy on goalkeeper training or goalkeeper coaching, two major influences. One was Tony Elliott, and I told you about the reasons why with the 5 elements development. It really just opened my eye to the everything about goalkeeping, and it made you think about there's so many different aspects and how you might believe here, but it's going to impact here. And it, I really appreciate Tony for a lot of the time and effort he gave to me as a mentor, and he's been awesome. If you ever, he's someone you should think about getting on here. He's fantastic, man. He
Mhm.
he knows his business, and he's a great human being. That's the other thing too. Like he is just a great person. Sharing is caring, as he would say. The other who's had a good big influence on how I have my philosophy is Ian Foyer. Ian's one day we were just talking on we had a Zoom call for like 10 minutes, and we both stuck around and we just started rapping about something weird. I forget what it was. I was asking him a question about a lesson of I saw on the internet or something. Just wanted to hear his opinion on it. And he's like, "Hey, you want me to can I show you something?" I'm like, "Yeah, what sure, why not?" He's like, "You got time?" So I'm like, "I got time."
Uh,
So he basically was introducing me to how he was putting out like his curriculum, we'll call it. And he went for 2.5 hours he spent with me, and we went through. I was asking him questions, and it was all around. And this might sound so obvious, but the detail Ian was getting into it, Juan, was insane. And that's where I really thought about like the moments of the game. So it basically came down to what are the moments of the game? Like when we're defending, what are the true moments that goalkeepers have to be aware of? And where are goals scored? So if goals are always scored here, and statistics will tell you what I'm making up, but I think it's around 80 to 85% of goals are scored dead center, like right post to post and out to the 18,
Hmm.
something like that. Like it's a big number. So then he's like, okay, well, how do balls get there? Now let's start to think exactly about how every single assist can be formed and how it can get put right into that area. So now you're dealing with not only the different shots in that goal, now in that area. Now you're dealing with all the different assists and how they can come. Dribble penetration, through balls, cutbacks, balls from the flank, corner kicks, free kicks. I mean, it just says, all right, let's now talk about the goalkeeper's role in every single one of those. We went through every single one. I was like this. Can we say it
Yeah.
again?
Hmm.
But it was one of the most selfless things that and it was just random. And I've been training like that ever since, to be perfectly honest with you. And then it helps with the communication. It helps with the thinking it through, like if then statements when you're in that training environment. Even though you're in a training environment, you're learning about the tactical understanding of the game. And the way he was just presenting it was really, really cool.
That's
So I'm
great.
sure I'm sure when I train it, I don't give it close to the justice he does, but
Mhm.
it at least has impacted my philosophy big time.
Yeah, and it's great that you mentioned that because like kind of open up the next thing or the next segment that I wanted to talk about, and it's basically that the goalkeeper development. Like, what are your thoughts on like what is the proper way of developing a goalkeeper? And of course, you brought up a lot of topic about leadership and all the things. So I would love you to just go through it of like what for you looks like a perfect environment to develop a goalkeeper.
Yeah, well, one of the reasons I believe that I think a coach is needed during team training sessions, like a goalkeeper coach, excuse me, is needed during team training sessions because you made the comment earlier, the game has changed and the goalkeeping, what we can do, what we can't do, has changes a lot. Considering take another position on the field, all the rules that change are against us, or we're an influence of. So now everyone likes to play out of the playing out of the back is a big deal. So if you're going to play out of the back and you're going to want a coach standing right next to the goalkeeper, I would think, because that's the most important person kind of in building out of the back. And you're asking a goalkeeper inside their six to like knock it around. Like there's got to be some decisions being made and some pressure on them that they're going to have to like turn around and talk to somebody. But do we offer that support, or do we just let them play? And if they mess up, we then correct them and tell them what they should have done. Not saying that's right, but that's kind of what happens. But I think, truthfully, I think by having a coach there, they are also acting as a field coach. So they're speaking to the defenders, they're speaking to the surrounding teammates of that goalkeeper, but focusing on the goalkeeper's role within that moment. That can help, I think, in training sessions. The other was, we mentioned leadership. That coach, I think, also can help big time with the team understanding the goalkeeper's leadership role and why it's important.
Mhm.
We can't just say to a kid, Juan, go communicate. You got to talk more. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't work. Like we need to tell kids exactly what to say and how to say it. We also need the team to understand that's how the goalkeeper is going to say it and what they're going to say. So it doesn't come across potentially in a personal way. The team is now understanding what the GK is going to say in certain situations. And they also know the tone is going to be used at and why. And if the people on the team can understand why the GK is talking all the time,
Mhm.
why they're saying what they're saying and what they're saying when they're saying it, I believe everything will just come closer together and you'll be a tighter unit. But that GK coach who's right behind the goalkeeper during training sessions, that's why they're so valuable. And
Mhm.
I think that, again, I don't know, people will say budget. All right, figure it out.
Yeah.
Honestly, like figure it out. I don't know the answers to that, but I do believe a goalkeeper coach can help dramatically with the development of a goalkeeper when they're on the field behind them, helping them with what their responsibilities are.
How, Eric, how do you think a goalkeeper coach can step on that role in a sense of like, now I trust myself on making calls to defense and stuff like that. Of course, for example, in my case, I have played as a goalkeeper. I have been there. I have got like certain badges on goalkeeper education. I have watched the game, but I'm sure there will be people, even myself. I can tell like right now, if the head coach have a thought or stuff like that, sometimes I'm not able to see the same thing that head coaches are able to see. So
Right.
what will be your recommendations for me to be probably more secure in the sense of like, you step here, you do this, watch out with this
Yeah.
solution, focus out of these, besides me just focusing only on the goalkeeper, where it's like my good area of knowledge.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, truthfully, as odd as it might seem, that goalkeeper coach who might have a little bit of self doubt, they have more knowledge. My money would be on the goalkeeper coach over the head coach in regards to the goalkeeper role. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so be confident in what you know. And it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to discuss, but don't be afraid to get involved. And I think that can be hard because I think a lot of head coaches, um, I don't know how they would collaborate with goalkeeper coaches. I'd like to believe it can work. My belief would be goalkeeper coaches might be on the younger side, just based on I don't know. I don't know why I would think that, but let's say they are on the younger side or the older side. It doesn't matter really. My point is it's gonna be a change. And
Mhm.
unless, like, let's say one, if the head coach doesn't want this goalkeeper coach getting involved, guess who's not getting involved? The goalkeeper coach. So
Yeah.
it's like we need the head coaches to kind of bless this type of environment.
Mhm.
But if in my opinion, I think it's a competitive advantage. I truly do. I think the more you can educate a goalkeeper, the more you can connect him or her with their back line, and
Yeah.
they understand the whys of to what's going to happen if then statements. If the ball's here, I'm going to be communicating here. I might be talking like this, but I'm looking here. But if you can coach in that environment, everyone's going to learn, and it's going to help a big time for your goals against average. And again, more wins will come.
100%. Um, like you said, the best way to prevent or to not get a score is to prevent the shot, basically. So if it
Yeah,
never happened, how can they score on you? Hold on. I needed to
yeah.
do this. Oh, all right.
Bless you,
Third
sir.
question. Yeah, I know. So I feel like in our conversation, a good recurring topic has been how the goalkeeper needs to involve with the whole team itself.
Yeah, yeah.
But in regards of like a specific goalkeeper practice, like what do you think are the best methodology or the best resources that you can implement in order to prepare our goalkeepers the best?
Yeah, I think you stick with the the moments of the game. You know, you train. I like to kind of structure my sessions around a specific moment. So let's say we're doing cutback crosses. I will the first 15 minutes it'll be we'll have a dynamic going, and I'll get kids going with the ball at their feet. Like I'll always start. We won't hit a ball and do a hand probably until 15 minutes into our session.
Mm-hmm.
We're moving basic footwork right off the bat because it's demanded. I mean, there are many coaches that will look at you, a goalkeeper, and say, I don't care about your footwork. Don't worry about it. Like you don't need to be good ball. You do not need to be good with the ball at your feet. Like, that doesn't exist. It's the other way.
Mm-hmm.
They struggle with the ball at their feet. We need them to. So anywho, the first about 10 minutes, we're just doing ball at the feet, basic passes, nothing crazy, but again, 2 touch, 1 touch, quick decision making. You know, getting their head, getting their glance going with the ball at their feet. Then we get into just technical bread and butter. You know, the basics, meat and potatoes of goalkeeping. Your contour catches, your scoops, your front smothers. You're diving at different heights, but doing it, technically sharp. Just again, you're still going through the warm up phase. I got 15 minutes there. Now you're about a half hour in, and you're warmed up. I'll then get into an actual technical component to cutback. So let's say the cutback we're going to work on is the ball's cut back on the floor going to the third goal. So it's going across your six. We'll talk about, can you make that dive off the post? So in the next technical component, I'll get someone just, kind of still training, right? So you get them off the post, making that dive and save, get the ball, maybe roll it back, and then practice that footwork, get across the goal, and just maybe get a shot off the ground from someone from that third goal back door. And then eventually I'd turn that activity after you go both sides into a competitive environment and keep score. So they're taking what they just were focusing on technically and now adding the technical component to it by competing. And then, because you're going to learn I think, when you get scored on, right? Like, do you have the ability to just sit there and look at yourself in the mirror?
Mm-hmm.
So in a training session where that's competitive, and if you can compete in that specific moment of the game, when they see that cutback the next time or the next game out, that's like we just did like 30 of these the other day. Like, wait, like you're right
Mm-hmm.
into it. But I think if you can train that moment of a game and really focus on that, you'll get an experience that when you seriously see it next time in the game, you're like, oh, I kind of remember it. Whether it hasn't resonated enough for you to do well in that situation, you got to do those numbers, got to do more and more and more of those, so you recognize it, and it's instinct, not thinking. But that takes time too.
Yeah, and I think you also mentioned something really good of like the goalkeeper learning by being a score. And I think if we're able to put on our practices different constraints and coaching more by constraints, it also improve the goalkeeper practice a lot in a sense of, or the learning process, let me say it better. For example, if, and it's funny because like sometimes like we're doing all those activities of like, okay, the goalkeeper catches and then he passes and stuff like that, and you can see how we have involved on such a robotic goalkeeper environment that they catch it and they probably will give me a ball back. And I'm the one that is just striking the ball. And then I just strike it back to them. I'm like, why are you giving the ball to the striker? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Or just, for example, the case of like, okay, she makes the save, but we're not going for that rebound. So she careless about the rebound at this point.
I agree.
Now, if you're putting that constraint of like, okay, we're gonna hit rebounds, guess what? The goalkeeper is gonna be more involved. Like, okay, I need to get to that rebound because if not, somebody's gonna blast it in front of me, and I don't want to do that thing. So putting those constraints, I think it helps a lot on the development of the goalkeeper on knowing that something happened and then reflecting by their own of like, okay, I shouldn't be doing that, knowing that there's a consequence for that action that they're doing.
Yeah, I believe competition is essential in every training session, and
Mm-hmm.
and that could even excuse me, that could even include one like game day -1.
Mm-hmm.
You have to minimize what you're doing, right? Like, it could be something as simple as like 10 volleys. Boom. How many clean catches do we have? But always having that competitive vibe amongst that unit is important,
Mm-hmm.
big time. And
You mentioned competition, keeping up scores and that. I feel myself being as the only coach there, like when I am training with the goalkeeper coaches, I might struggle of like keeping up with results, keeping up with those things. Is there any advice that you can give people on how to actually keep up advice like this? I mean, of course, the goalkeepers will always be doing this, but like, what are some ways or alternative like creating that competitive environment and keeping track of it and creating a challenge and that beautiful
yeah,
challenge between.
yeah, what I'd say in that regard, and not everyone's comfortable in this environment either. I have no problem when we're competing chirping.
Mhm.
Like literally, like because it'll enlighten it because it's coming from a coach, so they're like all of them are like, but you don't just chirp at one, you chirp at all of them.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, so and so just told me that she's gonna just destroy this shot and she's gonna score on you right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, hey George, you got to hear what Juan's saying right now about you. Oh man, like he's saying he's gonna bury you. Are you listening to
Mhm.
this? Like, but that little like laugh, but it's still like tongue in cheek. Like, all right, buddy, let's go.
Yeah.
It lightens the mood and it gets people, I think, sometimes competitive in a fun way. Because then you can, like, all right, we're just going to make stuff up. And what I tell coaches, too, they're like, give me some competitive things I can do. Just add a scoring system. They're like, what do you mean? It doesn't matter what you're doing. Just think about figure out a scoring system and just make one up. It doesn't matter. But to them, it matters. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, coach, what's the score? I have no idea. And then that could be a lesson back to them. Like, wait, it's your game. Why don't you know the score? You don't know the score of your games when you're playing. So you
Mhm.
don't even have to take responsibility for it. You just throw
Yeah.
out we're going to keep score now. And then, but again, it's just fun ways of keeping kids, their head involved and engaged. They're not just looking off into the sunset because now they got to compete, even if it's just a warm up and you're making catches. But that's one thing. Keep it light. Know when to get serious would be another one too. Like pull kids aside. One-on-one coaching moments, I think, can go a real long way. Don't be afraid to be overly positive.
Mhm.
I've literally been called a cheerleader, and I kind of they thought it was an insult, but I kind of was like, I'm cool
Yeah.
with that. because kids need people to support them. Like they do. And if you can, when you see him, Tony DeChico, catch him being good. That was probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever read or heard. So with kids in particular, if you can catch them doing it, and you can in the moment be like, "Great shit, that was awesome," they're gonna remember that. Like, and that now that they're remembering that feeling, they're gonna remember everything they just did in that save or in taking in that cross or making a courageous one-on-one block. They're gonna remember that, and then they're gonna repeat it. And so if you can catch them being good, that is going to help with their development.
Yeah.
If you can eliminate, I'm not saying don't talk to them when things go wrong or if you have to correct something. That you have to. That's fine. But keep that more business-like. Hey, here's the reason why, and let them explain why too. I think that's the most important component too. When kids understand the why, they gravitate towards doing it better and better.
Yeah. To be fair, like me listening to you right now is giving like goosebumps of like, oh, I want to go and train with her. And I think sometimes as coaches we kind of forgot that part of like having fun and competing, and like players love that. That's the reason why they're playing this game. And I think just listening to you and like reflecting about practice and stuff like that, I feel like whenever you're having fun, you take away that frustration of why things are not going my way. And I believe with you. I'm a person that really loves to see positive things. And I like to share my goalkeepers. And I think that that's really important. Whenever you're able to balance it, like you were saying, of being like a straight honest whenever things goes to actually let's be straight honest. And with that being said, like you kind of touch a little bit about that, but what do you think is like the best way to give feedback to a goalkeeper? Or, for example, well, let's go first to a question, and then I will go to my second question.
With goalkeepers in general, I think you just have to always have an ongoing conversation. Like you need to constantly be talking and talking. And what I mean by that is when they arrive, they know what they're doing in the next X amount of minutes. They know exactly what's going on. And then when they end, they know exactly what's taking place between now and the next time you see them. And then, because I think that ongoing conversation is necessary, especially when you're working with someone in a capacity like at a college, right? That's kind of what I'm referencing. Because when you're dealing with someone that closely, that regularly, I mean, you're dealing with your goalkeepers daily, sometimes multiple times a day, you're going to want to make sure they're on board and make sure everyone is understanding what's needed to develop, like what the good habits are. And that could trickle down to even like high school or club kids. Maybe you only see them once a week. Maybe you see them 3 times a week, whatever that time frame might be. I think in those sessions when you have a once a week kid, let's call it, or once a week goalkeeper, you see him, make it fun. Even though you're working on something, you can be hard and be fun. It can be a fun time too. And I think people sometimes think when you're having like fun that it's like, oh, you don't take it seriously. I don't agree with that. I just because I'm enjoying myself doesn't mean I don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I think that can be lost, I think, sometimes. To that point, compete and communicate and talk, and don't be afraid to say what you see. Be honest and try not to. Remember, you're just a coach. But you're a huge influence on their life. And if you can, the difference I see from good to great with coaches, Juan, a good coach, awesome at the tactical understanding, awesome at the technical understanding, knows all the 5 elements development and talks to you about everything and you understand it. The great coach will implement life lessons with those. And if you can connect with a kid that way, you're going to have a student for life. And if you can do that with a group of kids, but you're going to then build a bond where there's that trust that we were referencing earlier in the session, in tonight's session. And I think when you have that trust, everything is easier and everything means more, and it's easier and it means more. That's when life's good, right? Yeah, that's probably one thing I'd say to the coaches out there.
Yeah, with following up with the question that I had, and well, 2 questions. First of all, you kind of answer it in some sense of like, I feel like sometimes, and I'm kind of the same. It seems like I have kind of the same way. Like I love to have fun, and I love this, and I'm jumping
Yeah.
around and diving and making all this noise and this stuff. Um, there are moments that goalkeepers can get really goofy as well, and then like things are not going that way, and then you're like, all right, now we need to get serious. Like, how do
Right.
you go through a flow of like, okay, now they're having way too much fun. Like, actually focus.
Yeah.
How
No,
do you
right.
balance
Yeah, you have to, I think, have obviously the respect of the control of the group, right? Like as long as everyone's intentions are going into a direction where they understand, like there's a limit. You
that?
know what I mean? And my limit comes down to if what you're doing impacts someone else, that's a problem.
Mhm.
And if you're doing something and no one kind of cares or it's not impacting anyone's performance or what they're doing at the moment, that's fine. I'm cool with that. You know, if it helps them, if what you're doing by having fun helps them, that's even better. But if
Mhm.
it starts to hurt anyone's progress, or if you see that, that's when coaches, I think, have to, step in and be like, hey, let's go. Stop. Too much. Okay, got
Yeah.
it, coach. Thank you. And then right back into it.
Okay, awesome, man. I love that you mentioned this because it kind of opened up for the second question. I have had the challenge sometimes of
Yeah.
train really competitive people. And with that being said, whenever, like, for example, we're playing a silly game, I don't know, well, I mean, tennis, soccer,
Yeah.
whatever, what we're doing, and things are not going their way, that comes down to this frustration of like, I don't even want to play, or like I'm
Yeah.
doing things just for doing it, or again, they are losing and they have this attitude, and like you said, it start affecting the whole environment because two people are having fun and enjoying their life, they're winning,
Right.
and then this person over here is not doing properly. And I think this is a challenge. I have had faced this challenge, and still I don't think I deal with it the greatest. So I would like to hear from you, like, how do you
Yeah.
deal in these moments where you're like competing, and this goalkeeper brings this energy of like, I'm not doing good. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pull aside moment. You know what I mean? I think that's like if you could pull that person aside, just be like, all right, hey, first, is everything okay? Like I always, that's one of the first things I think I always say to a kid when I see that happening. I always want to just make sure, like, are you okay before we go any further? Because they might right there, the conversation might just end right there. Coach, no, I'm not.
Hmm.
Okay, talk to me, man? What's going on? You know what I mean? And then there's that relationship, that trust, like, and then you can talk about whatever that is. Well, if it turns into, no, coach, I'm fine. Leave me alone, man. Like, whoa, what's going on? Like, I think then you have to like, okay, well, here's what I see.
Hmm.
Well, I'm seeing this, and again, you're in a one-on-one setting. You just kind of pull them aside, and if then that person is still kind of in denial or doesn't see it, just be like, okay, fine, maybe I'm wrong. My apologies. Just don't let it impact anything. Okay, let's keep it up. And I think that being called out privately, but not really calling them out, just saying, here's what I see. Is first of all asking if you're okay. Typically, you get people saying no. Like, something's bothering me. So all right, well, if you need to take a time out, man, go right ahead. Like it's okay. And once you introduce them to going over there, like, hey, take a time out, go sit. And that's not in a negative way. It's like, Juan, man, I'm sorry about that. Why go take a time out, go relax, go chill out,
Hmm.
man. Relax. No, coach, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Like that's typically what you get for a response because they're competitive. They want to
Yeah.
stay on the field. You know, it's like, all right, well, just don't let it impact the game. Don't let it impact you or others. Okay, thanks. Got it. And I think there are ways you can, I think, call people out without calling them out, or it's just being nice.
Yeah.
It
No,
sounds so
actually,
generic, Juan, doesn't it? Like, just be
yeah.
nice to kids.
And I thought you mentioned something that kind of relates a lot with the first part about like building trust and stuff like that. And this is a great tip, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. And I read it somewhere or I heard it somewhere, and I have been really mindful about implementing. It seems or I feel like it seems like you're hungry. It seems like you're frustrated, or I think for me, I think you seem so frustrated. Like I'm not saying like, oh, you're frustrated. Because if I go straight to you and tell you, hey, you're frustrated, then it'll be like, why are you talking like that? Like I'm not
Yeah,
frustrated. But if I give you the opportunity to tell you like it seems you're frustrated, the person can say, no, I'm okay. You know what I mean? But if I tell you, oh, you're depressed, it's like, what the heck? I'm not depressed. I'm not mad. Why are you telling me this? But if I
yeah,
tell you, it seems like you're mad, the person can come back to me and just tell me, yeah, I'm upset, like I'm not liking this, and then we can talk about it. So I think that's a great point, a good tip for goalkeeper coaches listening, having
Yeah.
those conversations in that way and not really pointing kind of to the action and not to the person. I think is
100%. And I think being the better person by like admitting even yeah, I'm probably wrong. I just want to be oversensitive to it. My apologies. My bad.
mm-hmm,
Just something like that, and all of a sudden, because that person's obviously the one who's feeling, like, yeah, no, it's my bad too. Like, get them to just relax, kind of like.
mm-hmm,
But I don't know. So that, believe it or not, is a skill learned too. Like that, I think puts some coaches in out of their comfort zone. You know
mm-hmm,
what I mean? I always talk to my kids about when I'm training, like you got to get out of your comfort zone. Once you're out of your comfort zone, that's where development takes place. So how do you set the tone with that, right? And everyone has ways of setting their tone in their environments. But I think coaches sometimes have to step out of their comfort zone too, and not because they want to, but because kids will provide challenges like we're talking about right now.
yeah,
And coaches have to deal with those things. That's a real. What you just said is like a real event, like once a week in a team
mm-hmm,
environment when you're with. You guys are together all the time. I mean, how often are you guys together at the University of Miami, right?
yeah.
You're together all the time. So those things take place.
Mm-hmm. And this also brings up the question for myself. Probably have felt this way as well. And from the way that you are talking, it seems like
Yeah.
you have probably faced this challenge as well of like sometimes being too nice. I don't know if you kind of have the sense of that, or like being too nice, of like, okay, I want to walk through you through what's happening besides being like, I grew up on a sense of like, okay, things are not this way. Why you're asking this? Get out of here. Like you don't have a saying. And I feel on the way that we coach, like we approach ways of like more of a
Yeah.
holistic thing of like, okay, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to go through this. It can
Yeah.
sometimes be mistaken as being too nice. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that
Yeah.
topic specifically? Like where do you
I
set boundaries and all those things? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think you obviously have to earn the respect from the players. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That is the first thing. You have to separate yourself as a coach too, and that can be difficult with younger coaches, graduate GAs, graduate assistants. I think that can, because typically they probably just graduated. They're sticking with the same team, the same group of players. Now they're a GA, and that might be too close, but that's all the school will allow. So I think just getting the respect from the kids early and understanding that, you're a coach first. So I think that element of respect needs to take place. And then you just have to be able to, and sometimes sometimes you just have to say, get right to it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's go, come on, let's go. I expect more.
Mm-hmm.
Kids
What?
hate that. I'm being honest. Like when you say to someone, like, "Man, I expect more. I expect more out of you, man." Like, what is that?
Yeah.
Seriously. And like kids, like, "Oh man, I just let Coach Erik down." Like, duh. I think
No.
if you play that, kids respond more compared to, "Juan, what are you doing? Like, no one wants that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And I
So
agree with you. And I have a case, and this is for again goalkeeper coaches listening. I was giving a harsh feedback, or I felt it was a harsh feedback.
yeah,
And personally, me giving this feedback, I complement the feedback with like, I'm telling you this feedback, and I read on a book, and I thought it was amazing. I'm giving you this feedback because I have high standards, and I believe you can achieve them. And I think if you are being told like you suck or whatever, and then somebody tells you that, it's like, wow, this person really wants me to succeed.
yeah,
That's crucial. I think, like you mentioned, building that respect, building that trust of being like, I care about you. I'm not being this because I'm just trying to be mean to you. I'm just trying to think that I'm the one on top of you, but recognizing that, look, things has certain standards. And if you want to achieve whatever goal that you want to achieve, I'm here to help you. But let me help you to achieve those standards.
And to be truthful, I think that type of conversation and that type of curriculum from a development standpoint for GKs needs to take place at the club level. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So like by age. So, U10, here's what we're going to focus on and why compared to what the game is, because that's obviously different than the curriculum at U12 or U14 or U16, U18. But I think if parents and goalkeepers understand that, Juan, what you just said, they will then understand why coaches are coaching the way they are. They will understand, like everything just becomes clear. But I feel that curriculum to help clubs communicate to their parents and their GKs isn't there. You know what I mean? I was, as a parent, I would ask you, like, don't be afraid to ask your coaches, like, what's the goalkeeper coaching curriculum like during the season? Like,
Hmm.
how are you working with them? Because then it gets into sugar. You can get right into, let's say, all these showcases that take place. Are there goalkeeper coaches on the bench?
Hmm.
Probably not. Probably not. And if there's not, at the club level, then like who's giving the goalkeeper feedback? Head coach might be, but I don't know. You tell me. There aren't too many head coaches with goalkeeping knowledge. I don't know, but what I've seen, what I've experienced, I'm being right. You
No,
laugh,
it's true, and I
but
love
those are the
how
people. Go ahead.
I love how you are forced as a goalkeeper coach to have all the coaches education, but as a coach, you're not forced to have a goalkeeper education. And I think you're so right on what you're saying.
It, so it's like that head coach is coaching 10 people, not
Hmm.
11. And I think that's unfair because then what happens? Something as simple as setting up a wall. Like who's responsible for coaching that?
Hmm.
In my mind, that's a team environment. Like you're setting up a wall. Walls aren't four other goalkeepers in the wall. Walls are four players from the field that need to listen to the goalkeeper talking to me to move left and right.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, everyone else needs to understand their role to mark up. But is that ever trained in the team environment? But who's ultimately responsible? It's like, Juan, you're going to take a test in physics tomorrow, and you're not going to be able to open the book until like 10 minutes, like 10 seconds before. Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense. It's unfortunate, but again, back to why we need a goalkeeper coach in my opinion, on the team coaching staff at the club level.
Hmm.
It helps everyone.
100%. No, I agree. And again, like this is a topic we could go just the club. And
Oh
to be honest,
yeah,
like, I haven't really dwelled that much. Like most of my game has been through college. So for me, it's kind of really tough to talk specifically of what the environment.
yeah,
But from what I have seen, from what I have heard, it seems really
yeah.
challenging. In a sense, like not only players not showing up, or like players showing up once a
Right.
week and expecting to get better, or just not having the stuff. Now you have one goalkeeper coach training 40 kids out of the blue.
Yeah.
So it's all
Well, it's
those.
even at the college level one. Think of it. Let me ask you: how involved are you in the tactical decisions during your team coaches meetings?
Hmm.
I, I would like to believe the head coach is saying, "Hey, defensively or from a goalkeeping perspective, one, what are you thinking? Like, here's what we're proposing. How would you? But like to believe how those conversations take place. Do they? I know when I was in college, they did and they didn't. Like it was depending on a winning streak or a losing streak or,
Hmm.
what, I don't know. There were definitely some influences, but I felt heard, if that makes sense. For the most part, I felt heard then it would be, should the goalkeeper coaches be getting involved more? And I would always say yes to that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Um, well, we have been 1 hour and 2 minutes in, so I want to be mindful about your time. I know here is Eastern. It's almost my bedtime. You can tell I'm old. uh, I have just some follow-up question, wrap-up questions that I would like to go ahead.
yeah.
One of my first ones will be like, what is something that you as a coach wish you have known earlier in your career? Like from all these
Yeah.
conversations, from all these experiences that you have gone through, college, your own brand, individual training, club training, all of this. What are some stuff that you believe you wish you have known earlier in your career?
Ooh, that's a good one. What I've known earlier. Whew, take know that it's okay if you fail, and don't be afraid to fail. Who cares? But fail going for it. And if you have this can't fail attitude, you're not gonna fail. B, you're gonna put up a hell of a good product, and C, hopefully you can, if you revolve around what you love, the product's going to be phenomenal. And it's going to mean something to you, and if it means something to you, it's going to mean something to others. And
Mhm.
that's kind of how I would guide myself. Like, I wish I'd taken this chance with UGKA years and years ago. But then if I didn't have the experiences in doing what I did with corporate and develop understanding a company and understanding a board of directors, understanding lesson plans and curriculums through the HR departments there, if I didn't understand client support there and how to really do client service,
Mhm.
um, UGKA wouldn't exist. So it's but my advice to kids would be take take chances and go for it, and don't be afraid to fail. And don't be afraid to admit you failed either. Like, your support groups are all going to understand, and that's why that would be my next piece. Make sure you find a good support group and stick with it. Meaning, not like random strangers, but like your parents, your brother, your sister, your best friends, friends from school, your buddies from school. But have the folks that you can trust. I use the word trust a lot, but using them as sounding boards for good things and bad. And I think from a life perspective, you're only gonna get better and make better decisions the more people whom you trust are involved.
Yeah. It's great, good ones. That kind of follow up with the last question that I wanted to do, but before we jump to that one,
Yeah.
the other question I wish you could answer is like, if you were gonna give me like three aha moments that you were like, wow, like three biggest learning moments that you found out, for example, when they're in discussions with Tony or stuff like that, or just any
Mm-hmm.
episode from all of the database that you have been, three moments that you were like, wow, that really was eye-opening. What
Yeah.
will those ones be in order of
Two of them I can tell you. I think I mentioned both of them already. One was the time spent with Ian.
the what's okay,
That
time is spent with it.
the time spent with Ian and
Mhm,
that like 2.5 hour call. It really like made me think about how like all my lessons are going to change, like how
mhm,
to implement so many different variables. And then the other, speaking of variables, was Tony Elliott, and him introducing me to the 5 elements of development and the reasons why. And then if you combine the two, which is kind of what I'm trying to do, like my own philosophy, I want to combine both of those two, which is kind of what we're doing with the UGKA. If you look at our curriculum, we're taking those 5 moments of the game and what are the goalkeepers' roles in all of those 5 moments, and then can we develop and learn, but learn in the 5 moments, 5 elements of development within the 5 moments. That's kind of tongue twister right there, but you're doing all the right things, and I think it'll be the level of detail that you can implement into such a strategy is kind of crazy too. So kids will learn. Kids will definitely
mhm.
learn.
Yeah.
I want to find a little tangent there. I don't know if hopefully that answered the question.
No, some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks. At the end of it, I'm like, what was the question again?
Yeah.
Sorry, boss.
It always happens, don't worry. All right, last question before we jump
Yeah.
to the next question. I think I once told you this in one of our last two meetings with the ECNL event.
Mm.
But personally, Eric, I just, again, here as well to whoever is listening, I just wanted to acknowledge you for everything that you do for the goalkeeper union. Again, I believe some people doesn't really know who is behind all these sessions, all this stuff, but like as you said, humble enough to jump to all these calls and really let the other people hide and stuff like that, creating this environment for goalkeepers to be seen, to keep learning, and it takes a while. And I
Thank
think
you.
at the beginning of this recording, of the last recording, we were saying like how sometimes we forget about we are also humans. And I think that has been one of the biggest realizations when I came here to UM, that Jesus Christ, coaches have families. And I know some stuff home might not be the best ones, but you still have time to hear, to show up, to spend an hour with me, with a Colombian that barely speak English, give some knowledge to, I don't know, probably two people listening to this, but I think it means a lot. And for me, it means a lot that you're trying to add all these things. So I just wanted to
Thank
acknowledge
you.
you for that.
That means a lot. And one thing that you said, which I'm hoping people see and are kind of drawn toward, is the support system that's needed for a goalkeeper to make it, and not make it, but to really develop. They are going to need a pretty good support system.
Yeah.
So all the reasons that we've talked about already, and if that's something that people are recognizing and finding value in, and it's helping them with what they want to do, awesome. And I can't stress that enough. I firmly believe that we're better as a collective unit than in our individual silos. And if I can continue to push that philosophy, that would be it, to be truthful, because goalkeeping has been my passion of mine my entire life. And if there's anything I could do to not only give back, but just help create a structure or a culture where it's part of everything. It's not
Mhm.
an afterthought. You know what I mean? It's not a cost versus development issue. It is at the forefront. And I firmly believe by doing so, you'll see results. I truly believe that.
Mm,
But
that's amazing.
someday
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
Well,
I
and
know, I
basically,
know.
this leads to the last question, Eric.
Yes.
So let's think hypothetical case. Everything about Eric is about to get deleted. So United Goalkeeping is gonna get deleted. All the database is going out of
Oh, all
business.
right.
All your books, all your notes, or all your 3 minutes videos in WhatsApp are gone. But you get to live 3 lessons that you can give to anybody. It doesn't really need to be specific on goalkeeping. It can be live, whatever. Like, what will be those 3 lessons that you would love somebody to want hear and be like, wow, that really resonate with me.
Yeah. First, what I've mentioned this one in this our session today. One, I would say I'm going to steal it from Tony DeChico. Catch him being good. I can't in all facets of life. I mean, people like hanging out with other people that compliment them, right? Like, like don't they? I don't know. It seems to work. Is kind of what I'm saying. But catch him being good, especially in a coaching environment, and that feeling. If you can make a kid feel something when they're doing something right, it resonates real strongly. So, catch them being good would be one of them. I was gonna start with be humble. Like, just stay humble always. And there's no up here and down here. I just always respect and be humble. And I feel that the more you can do that, and the more people are gonna want to be associated with you and what you do. And I feel that by being humble, you're going to always strive to get better too. And I feel that's something that we're always trying to do, whether it's with my family, whether it's, you know, it's UGKA, we're always trying to strive to do better. And the other one would be take chances. And as I mentioned, don't be afraid of failure. Failure is just it's a way to, failure is, quote, I forget who said this, Sugar. Failure is a way to start over with experience.
Mhm.
You know, I thought that was a kind of cool. I should know. That's some. I totally stole that from someone. I just don't know who actually said that. That is a real quote from someone too. I
Yeah.
don't know who said it though.
No
Might have
worry.
been
I
Ford.
hope I
I
don't
don't
get
know.
copyright.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You might want to edit
Yeah.
that one out.
Oh, sounds great. Sounds great. Awesome. So, Eric, again, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man.
Hope we can meet again later, future, just to go a little bit in deep on other topics that I think we can go deeper. And I think it'll be beautiful. But thank
This
you very
was
much for your
great.
time today.
I appreciate you, Juan. Thank you for everything. I do appreciate the forum today to talk to you and to share what we're trying to do. And again, thank you for all the kind words as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan.